AI is the big spook nowadays. Companies across the world are racing to AGI as fast as they can, while average, everyday people are starting to use it for things a normal Google search can't achieve. Like creating legal documents or getting complicated legal advice, creating music or images at a whim, reading out a script for you to use in a video, editing your video to give it flashy visuals. People are starting to use AI for more than just information, and they're starting to use it for complex tasks. Yeah, so anyways, one of the largest channels talking about the Riley CS cheating situation is just AI-generated slop.
I'm a band for literally no reason.
There's nothing wrong with me cheating. What is wrong with me cheating? Alright, cool to see.
Cheaters have been punished by the men and women from Ricochet. All streamers are guilty until proven innocent.
I've seen a lot of comments asking for my take on a guy who calls himself Cat Girl. I found it interesting when this player snapped to a rock, because with computer vision, this shape would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention. Don't you dare sit there with your ass hair on your head and tell me this is authentic gameplay. Anyone with a brain can see this is cheating. Can you imagine? Telling your girlfriend you're part of the aiming community, what do you think she's going to do? Call the cops? Of course she will, and rightly so. Take this guy, for example. It's rumored that he told his friend he was part of the aiming community and that he uses a floating crosshair on his screen.
I'm part of the aiming community. We basically use crosshairs on our screen.
His friend reacted the way most people would, and rightly so. Are you part of the aiming community? Didn't think so, and if you are, do your parents know? I've built my own client-side, server-integrated anti-cheat system. It was capable of detecting every known cheat in Call of Duty right at boot. I also created Guardian TrueSight, which uses computer vision to detect subtle aimbots and soft aim in Call of Duty. It measures aiming velocity and applies entropy analysis, rooted in Shannon's information theory, to track aim decay patterns over time. And as for the argument that less skilled players can't spot aimbots, let me be clear. I've won countless ladders in old-school Call of Duty competing on game battles. I played for the best team in the world. I'm Call of Shame. God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen.
Ricochet is cool when it bans the fools, but when it bans a streamer, yo, that shit's whack. Streamers can hear me across the map. They messing with sound and all that crap.
Now, I had heard the name Call of Shame floated around the controversy when it was first popping off. I saw them referenced as a reliable source by people who thought Riley was cheating, like 10IQ Gaming, and cited by people who thought Riley was not cheating, like Carl Jobst.
The channel Call of Shame, who seems to be very knowledgeable on aimbots, and to be honest, a lot more knowledgeable than most people I see talking on this matter, claims that the snap to the rock was not cheating at all.
But a friend had sent me over one of their videos that was also sent to them as a reliable source, so we decided to watch it together with some friends. Instantly, I could tell that something was off, and the longer we watched, the more red flags started to pop up. Easily provable lies about credentials, lying about being a real human voice to skirt the new YouTube guidelines, lying about being in their PhD research, and so much more. So we're gonna go over Call of Shame's channel to show just how dishonest and fake his entire shtick is. The first thing that really stood out to me was claiming he was a former pro Call of Duty player competing in game battles back in 2011, even showing suspicious screenshots of tournament dates, as well as trophies lined up for all the events he supposedly won. Now, I checked these dates against real COD events that happened in 2011, and none of them line up at all. These events were in February and October, not in July. Like, look at these trophies. These probably aren't even real. This is what the real 2011 Call of Duty XP trophy looked like, and the differences are quite stark. Ranked second in the Xbox 360 Call of Duty World at War Arena? This is not real. This is not an event that existed or a leaderboard anywhere that I can find. It's completely fictitious. After he shows this likely AI-generated image of an inbox of some sorts, he claims to have been on the best team in the world, while also showing the emblem of the 2014 Olympic MLG crossover event.
Earning thousands of dollars competing back on the Xbox 360. I played for the best team in the world. I've been there, I've done it, and I know exactly what cheating looks like.
Now, to anybody familiar with COD Pro Play at the time, they know that the best team in the world can only mean Optic Gaming, and Optic Gaming happened to have won the 2014 Olympics event, making Call of Shame one of 4 possible people: Nadeshot, Proofy, Scump, or Clayster. All of these players are still active and obviously not Call of Shame. This is such a bold-faced lie that it's hard to believe somebody would actually put it in a video unless they had zero idea of what the pro scene looked like at the time. The only reason it's here is to farm fake credentials from people who won't bother to look into the claims. But he doesn't claim to be just an ex-COD pro, he also claims to have been a threat analyst at a high-end security company called Symantec, a high-end cybersecurity firm that works with companies like Norton.
I worked for Symantec as a threat analyst. I understand how detections work. I've spent decades on the front lines of cybersecurity and anti-cheat technology.
And he also claims to be in his PhD research for AI anti-cheat, constantly bringing up his white paper that he supposedly submitted for peer review.
In fact, I've written a full white paper on computer vision cheats, the dangers they pose and how anti-cheat systems can effectively stop them. It's available on my website, and I've also submitted it as part of my PhD research for peer review. I'll keep you all updated on that process.
So not only was he a COD pro from 2011 to 2014, and he was a member of Optic Gaming, and he worked as a threat analyst for Symantec, and he's just now in his PhD research for AI. It is impossible for all of this to be true. What he's suggesting is that either Scump, Proofy, Clayster, or Nadeshot had a side gig as a threat analyst and was doing their PhD research all while streaming and playing games without anybody knowing. Or this is all just a lie. So what about that PhD paper? He will constantly promote his website and his AI anti-cheat, Guardian True site, but when you actually visit the website, it's only one page, with the 4 buttons at the top only bringing you to different parts of that one page. With the 5th button, the white paper button, just linking you to the PDF he's supposedly made and submitted as part of his PhD research. But when you actually look through this PDF, none of it looks authentic. First of all, there are no actual names attached to the paper, just his company name that I literally cannot find anything about. There's no copyright noted for any of the images they include, the formatting is all wrong, there are super weird graphs about human aim versus cheat aim, where it's just a waveform with equidistant peaks for human aim, and the straight line for cheats. But, due to the help of some friends, I was actually able to find a real paper written about this topic. Notice anything different here? Notice the names of real people tied to university or company names? Notice the copyright cited for the images they include? Proper formatting? Proper source list? Notice how many other academic papers are linked in these sources? Now go back to the Call of Shame paper. Do you notice anything different? Ah yes, random articles and YouTube videos cited in his sources, and his sources are above his conclusion. My guess is he fed a lot of this to the AI to help him spit out this paper. And while unreliable, I ran large sections of this text through AI text detectors online, and basically all of them said that large portions of the text are 100% AI generated. It's not irrefutable proof, as these things do miss often, but it's there to chew on. So what about this AI anti-cheat he's supposedly making? What is it? What does it do? Well, according to him, it's a client-side server-integrated anti-cheat that you can download to spot and protect yourself from cheaters.
Look, I've built my own client-side server-integrated anti-cheat system. It was capable of detecting every known cheat in Call of Duty right at boot. I know what I'm talking about. It's like someone driving a Porsche and then trying to tell someone how the engine works with no clue about engines.
And what does server integrated mean here? Integrated with the game servers? Because I'm highly doubtful of that. The only thing this can mean is that it's a client-side and server-side anti-cheat. But in all of his explanations of this system, he only talks about visual detections with AI and not hardware or software detections.
I also created Guardian True Sight, which uses computer vision to detect subtle aimbots and soft aim in Call of Duty. It measures aiming velocity and applies entropy analysis, rooted in Shannon's information theory, to track aim decay patterns over time.
What he proposes is that the AI will detect where a player lands their crosshair or shot within a given area, called the bounding box, and using entropy analysis.
I also want to share a new update I've added. Remember, entropy is based on aim decay. It's not about the hits themselves at that exact moment. It needs data to create a model, and that's where these come in. They're called data nodes, and their purpose is to update entropy based on recent aiming activity. So So how do we collect aiming samples? We capture them during a short time window, but only when the player's aim enters the bounding box of an enemy. During this collection window, which you can see here, we log data based on confidence scores. Green is very strong, yellow is average, and red is poor. A poor reading might be when the model isn't sure if it's aiming at the head or upper torso, sometimes just a pixel difference.
The problem is the UI he constantly overlays onto gameplay is not consistent, and it feels more like a slider he moves when he puts it over gameplay he thinks is cheated.
When my cheat analysis comes in, instantly, he's detected for soft aim. And just like that, we can expose soft aimbotting with confidence.
Notice anything interesting about this Battlefield 5 gameplay? So he forgot to change his model from Battlefield 6. He talks about using this model in one of the first videos he made on Riley, saying computer cheats will just pick up the rhombus above players' heads, the little orange indicator. He then shows footage of Riley flicking to the rock, and shows this.
They often just look for that rhombus. That's why I found it interesting when this player snapped to a rock, because with computer vision, this shape would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention.
Except the biggest problem is the rhombus is always at the center of the screen. It's the objective marker. It's even at the center of the screen for the footage he or his AI chose to put here. Given all the lies about the credentials, the constant flaws in his analysis, I'm highly suspect he has any idea what he's talking about, or this AI anti-cheat even does anything. When you try to go download the software, it just gives you a dead link. But why do all this? Why create a fake anti-cheat? Because as long as you can create a long enough paper trail, most people won't put in the effort to reach the end and get to the final page that says bullshit on it. You would be surprised how many people just fall for this.
The channel Call of Shame, who seems to be very knowledgeable on aimbots, and to be honest, a lot more knowledgeable than most people I see talking on this matter, claims that the snap to the rock was not cheating at all.
Now for the audio. You can pretty quickly tell it's a text-to-speech reading a script. Maybe not at first with certain videos, but there are too many inhuman anomalies that make it a bit more obvious.
I've seen a lot of comments asking for my take on a guy who calls himself Cat Girl. But I know what you're thinking. What about things like computer vision? And you'd be absolutely right to call that out. But he's what caught my attention. The amount of Warzone streamers coming to his defense. Like, why? You don't know this guy. Don't you dare sit there with your ass hair on your head and tell me this is authentic gameplay. Anyone with a brain can see this is cheating. I mean, what are we even talking about here? I'm Call of Shame. God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen. Take this guy, for example. It's rumored that he told his friend he was part of the aiming community and that he uses a floating crosshair on his screen.
I'm part of the aiming community. We basically use crosshairs on our screen.
His friend reacted the way most people would, and rightly so. They keep telling us that this Cat Girl guy.
Another thing you'll notice is that whenever there's a clear transition in the video or script, the AI's text-to-speech alters ever so slightly. This happens in all of his videos multiple times, which is odd, because a month ago Call of Shame made a video saying they would stop using AI voices in their videos, and instead have them read by a member of the Call of Shame team. This is that video segment.
YouTube's upcoming policy changes may restrict channels from using AI voices, which could have affected us making our videos. To stay ahead and make sure there are no issues, we'll be switching from an AI-generated voice to a real human one. This way, we can continue bringing you content without interruption.
What you're hearing now is the new voice for Call of Shame. Yes, this is my real voice. To be precise, it's actually the voice of one member of the Call of Shame team who has been appointed as the official voice of the channel.
But this is not his real voice. This is just a better text-to-speech model, and you can see it making the same mistakes multiple times for the rest of the video. You would be surprised how many people just fall for this.
The real reason for this change is to comply with YouTube's policies and the recent updates regarding how AI channels operate. Here at Call of Shame, we've exposed countless cheating streamers, and many of them have been permanently banned as a direct result of our videos. Banned live on stream. Same goes for Adrian, and honestly, a whole bunch of these Warzone streamers have all been banned because they were caught cheating, all just to gain an unfair competitive advantage while playing Call of Duty Warzone. And that's just a few examples of what we've accomplished here, all directly from this channel. But ever since we introduced Guardian Labs, things have changed even more. Built using the same neural network technologies powering Tesla's autonomous vehicles, TrueSight brings cutting-edge AI to the fight against cheating. Just like Tesla's systems analyze and respond to real-world driving situations, TrueSight analyzes gameplay in real time.
Call of Shame said this because YouTube rolled out new policy regarding AI in videos. This obviously affected his bottom line, so what did he do? He lied and got a better text-to-speech model while pretending to be a human. Again, straight-up deception. And stupid deception. Because he'll constantly make the AI say ums and ahs and pauses to make it sound more like a human reading a script. Or this is an AI feature that he's not really controlling.
Team EXE, or XE, whatever you want to call them, I don't really care. They had to make a public statement.
Don't you dare sit there with your ass hair on your head. I'm Call of Shame. God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen.
Little detail definitely caught my attention. But these detections are poor, so it's finding clumps of leaves and everything.
He will also use AI-generated music for all of his videos, repeating either the same Cornhub rock track over and over again.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall. Oopsie.
Or the triumphant cinematic orchestral music over his descriptions of his anti-cheat.
In fact, I've written a full white paper on computer vision cheats, the dangers they pose, and how anti-cheat systems can effectively stop them. It's available on my website.
But the worst offense, an absolute crime against humanity, AI-generated country music centered around cheating in Call of Duty. It is an absolute assault to the senses.
My PC is clean, boys, everything's fine here, nothing to see. No aimbot, walls, radar, cheat key. The Sims start gifting me subs tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Yo, Nick, thank you for the 5. Jay with 4 and Lee the 3. If I was cheating, why do I still play? Don't listen to shame, just gift and stay. Ricochet, ricochet, go away. Ricochet.
He originally posted this 10 months ago and even tagged non-existent studio and dev accounts telling them they can use it, but only if they credit.
Ricochet is cool when it bans the fools, but when it bans a streamer, yo, that shit's whack. Streamers can hear me across the map. They messing with sound and all that crap. They lie and cheat and stream all day. When Sims will watch and streamers will pray. When they are banned, it's just a mistake, because all streamers cheat according to Joe. Give me a break.
Yeah, sure, buddy. But now that I'm through thoroughly character assassinating him, what about the actual claims he makes about other people cheating? He has hundreds of videos, so to stay topical, we'll cover what he said about Riley CS. In his first video, he claims the first clip in Riley's viral montage wasn't actually cheating, that it was real gameplay inserted into the montage to throw people off.
Breaking down the first part of this montage, you'll see he's snapping all over the place. At first glance, this creates the illusion that he's cheating. I mean, you'd think that, right? When you slow it down, you can see that this person is actually snapping past the targets and correcting their own bad aim. They're snapping to nothing. And no, that's not cheating. Cheaters often include clips like this in their montages so that absolute morons can try to break it down and say, "See, he's not cheating," as if that somehow debunks the whole accusation.
But that the second clip of the snap to the rock, as well as the rest of the montage, was cheating.
But no, that's not how it works. The rest of this video is absolutely cheating. These little clips are deliberately placed into the footage so defenders can point to them and claim innocence. Check this out. This is a snap, no debate. I can't say for sure yet if this is an aimbot or some other third-party software until I finish my data models and start examining this with TrueSight. I mean, what are we even talking about here?
Showing the computer vision cheats about rhombuses I showed earlier.
Computer vision cheats, however, are lazy. They often just look for that rhombus. That's why I found it interesting when this player snapped to a rock. Because with computer vision, this shape would be perfectly aligned. That little detail definitely caught my attention. But these detections are poor, so it's finding clumps of leaves and everything.
And this is why you can't just detect shapes. Now, I'm not saying 100% that he's using this. I can't. My model for Battlefield isn't fully ready yet, but when it is, he'll be the first one I run through the AI engine.
But as you can remember from earlier, Carl Jobst repeated that he thinks the rock clip isn't cheated.
Claims that the snap to the rock was not cheating at all.
And that's because Call of Shame contradicts himself constantly, like claiming in his second video that nobody ever had an issue with the flicks or snaps. But in this first video, he is complaining about the flicks and snaps.
Check this out. This is a snap, no debate. I can't say for sure yet if this is an aimbot or some other third-party software until I finish my data models and start examining this with TrueSight. I mean, what are we even talking about here?
But this video hardly goes over any actual evidence for cheating, just resorting to playing the montage with no commentary, and random comments about how it's so obvious and anybody denying it is gaslighting.
What the fish?
So yeah, I think we can pretty much all agree that he is absolutely cheating. I mean, there's no debate. Let's just call it what it is. The moment he moved towards the guy behind the rock was pretty much enough for me to stop watching this clown. He's done. The rest of this video is absolutely cheating. Check this out. This is a snap, no debate. I mean, what are we even talking about here?
In his second video, he brings up Shimmy, a player recently exposed for cheating for clips, and cheating in aim trainers. He uses the fact that Shimmy was also on Riley's team, Team EXE, as even more proof that Riley was doing the exact same thing as Shimmy.
That team had a player caught cheating using aimbot a few months ago, and was forced to put out a statement. It's just even more proof that this Catgirl person was doing the same thing as the other guy in their team was doing previously.
We'll talk a bit more about Shimmy later when we get to one of Call of Shame's more recent videos, but I do want to address the guilt by association claim that's used here. Being on a team with somebody who cheated is not evidence of cheating yourself. Team EXE isn't literally an esports team, like Optic Gaming mentioned earlier, playing at event stages or playing in tournaments. It's a group of players who farm clips in different games, posting the highlights to Twitter and YouTube. And it's important to note, Shimmy was exposed by his own team and other people within the aiming community a month after joining that team, and then further exposed by people like Viscos for speeding up times in aim trainers, as well as putting out a fake apology. I highly recommend her video again, as it covers a lot of topics like how people spotted his cheats and his history of lying. But back to the video. He then brings up the viral post from Enclave Emily about being a former cheat dev, and saying that Riley was using a mouse simbot with a 2 to 4 FOV and minimal recoil reduction.
A recent post, a former cheat developer, someone who actually designs and codes the exact same cheats Catgirl is accused of using, has claimed that Catgirl is running a mouse sim aimbot. This type of cheat subtly locks bullets onto targets, making it nearly undetectable to viewers. The developer even listed specific field of view and recoil settings, showing precise technical knowledge of how it works. That first-hand expertise adds serious weight to the accusation, making it far more credible than a simple rumor.
The problem is, mouse simbots with FOVs like this will snap the crosshair to the player closest to it, and as I showed in my last video, if you're claiming this clip is cheated, it cannot be with this sort of aimbot. And funnily enough, the clip he shows, right after saying this, is that very clip.
You have to look at the sheer amount of actual evidence. I don't know why Warzone streamers like Huskers and Metaphor are blind defending this guy.
There isn't any actual evidence of Enclave Emily being an actual cheat dev, other than copy-pasting some Python code that apparently can't even physically run. Copy-pasting cheats 5 years ago doesn't make you an expert on spotting cheats for human aim. Using this person as a credible source to appeal to authority only works when the arguments that follow are actually sound. But Emily is making a video on Riley, so I guess we'll get maybe a long-form video out of it explaining what she... Oh, okay. She says it's going to be rather short and that she doesn't want to go super in-depth. Well, I guess we'll see. He also brings up that Riley was banned on Twitch for playing Titanfall 2 sometime in 2024.
Catgirl was actually banned for 7 days on Twitch back in 2024. Now, back then, Twitch were extremely lenient for cheating. So if you got a 7-day ban for cheating, you were absolutely 100% cheating. There is no debate. This was a 7-day ban for cheating in a multiplayer game. And people are still defending him. Wake up, you bunch of morons.
But as I think we've learned from Riley's recent ban on Twitch, Twitch bans are not really a good criteria to use to determine if people are actually cheating. Call of Shame also brings up the crosshair overlay for the first time in the second video, showing the Twitter clip of the guy who went viral attempting to explain what this software is.
This individual has been caught using overlays that are banned in many first-person shooters. Overlays that EA themselves will ban you for.
This is actually a screen crosshair that you download, and it helps you shoot straight. Just in case you need help, finding the center of your screen. This cracked god at gaming has to have a crosshair overlaid on the screen still to this day. Yeah, moving on.
He tries to make fun of her by saying, why does this cracked gamer need to know where the center of their screen is? But oftentimes, games can take away your crosshair during certain moments, and knowing where the center of your screen is can be important to some players. Or they might have a favorite crosshair from an old game, like Counter-Strike or Valorant, that they want to port over to other games that don't have as accurate crosshair support. They then claim that crosshair overlays are against EA's terms of service.
Now, there's a lot of stuff online saying that you can be banned from games for using these crosshairs. There's even an EA thread specifically saying, do not use these in our game.
And what I find extra hilarious is all of the language surrounding these accusations are like this. There's a lot of stuff online that say some games can get you banned from this, and constantly citing the EA's terms of service saying they explicitly do not allow these overlays. But what does the actual EA terms of service say? An unauthorized third-party program is a third-party program or file, such as an add-on, mod, hack, trainer, or cheat, that EA believes enables or facilitates cheating of any type. 2. Allows users to bypass, modify, or hack the game's interface, environment, protections, and/or experience in a way not expressly authorized by EA. Or 3. Intercepts, mines, and otherwise collects information from or through the game. This is different than what is presented. There is no hard policy by EA banning crosshair overlays. HUDsite, the crosshair overlay Riley was using, does have on its FAQ page that users should comply with the terms of service of whatever game they're playing, but that HUDsite is not a cheat and doesn't alter anything within the game, and is an overlay similar to Steam or Discord overlays that exist today. Stating that in Battlefield 2, some players got manual bans for screenshots of custom crosshairs, but nothing recent as the trend has become more popular. EA and Battlefield devs are well aware of the controversy, and she has not been banned. This whole example is just a goalpost shift from accusing them of blatantly aim hacking, saying, oh well they use this, so what else are they using? Which isn't evidence. Later in the second video, he brings up that Riley did another handcam stream after the accusations, claiming the hand movements don't line up with the gameplay, and providing 0 examples of this, saying, make up your own mind.
Tried to do a hand cam video, but as many people pointed out, the hands don't match the gameplay. Make your own mind up. The original video is on his Twitter in case anyone tries to claim I'm manipulating the clips. They always pull that excuse when they're faced with absolute factual evidence.
Afterwards, bringing up the rock clip yet again, and stating what he thinks the defense argument is.
Now, here's what they're claiming. This is a general summary of all the videos I've seen defending him. While shooting at this enemy, a ping appears on the radar. This little thing right here. According to them, that's why the streamer snapped to the rock but missed the enemy. And because the radar ping didn't align with the snap, they say he's not cheating. That's their defense. They believe that if you have the voice, you can push a false narrative to the masses. And it's nonsense.
But this is not the defense being made. The argument is that Riley's to the right of the objective, with the objective on the left, with pings on the minimap showing that players are there. And when you watch the footage from before the clip starts, you can see multiple pings of where players are on the objective. So Riley's flick here isn't to the guy on the minimap, it's to the general direction of where players are. These are the information or gamble flicks I talked about in my first video, which is why the flick itself isn't onto any player and the micro adjustment right after is to shoot where players could be. But Call of Shame claims she flicked to the rock because she knew the players were there because of cheats.
In my opinion, this cheater flicked to the rock as he knew where those enemies were. That's why he adjusted his aim.
Claims that the snap to the rock was not cheating at all.
He claims Riley can have no knowledge on where players are here, so it's clearly cheated. Not only is that not true as I've addressed, but there's a bit of a self-report here. You do not need to know where players are to make flicks like this. People use these clips or clips of Riley shooting through smoke to say, look, they can't even see them, so how do they know where to shoot? But visual information is not the only thing you use to determine where players are to shoot them. You can deduce where players are without seeing their player model, and the big spook for some people is you can flick to people and kill them with zero knowledge of where they are. Sometimes you make a lucky gamble flick and you happen to be close to a player. So simply saying, well, how could they have known, demonstrates a lack of knowledge around high-level aiming. Go ask a Counter-Strike player who played in the era of Mr. Stewart 2000 how often they spray into smokes simply because of trauma.
But Stewie earned his now infamous moniker for the way he played around one piece of utility in particular.
I'm gonna go with it.
He's gonna come through this.
What's up, motherfucker?
Oh my god, I hate Stewie.
In the third video, he again brings up the crosshair overlay, saying Riley uses this because they struggle to aim.
Uses an overlay in games like Battlefield that places a little floating crosshair on his screen because he struggles to aim.
And the overlay he shows is just hilarious. No one in the world is ever going to use a crosshair like this. It would be an active disadvantage. But Call of Shame just has no idea what these overlays look like or what they're actually for, so he just had an AI make him a funny looking crosshair.
Can you imagine telling your girlfriend you're part of the aiming community? What do you think she's going to do? Call the cops? Of course she will, and rightly so. Take this guy, for example. It's rumored that he told his friend he was part of the aiming community and that he uses a floating crosshair on his screen.
I'm part of the aiming community. We basically use crosshairs on our screen.
His friend reacted the way most people would, and rightly so.
He mentions a new monitor releasing with AI tips, showing a Score Esports video saying it could eventually give you pseudo wall hacks.
And it doesn't stop there. Some monitors can now even detect enemy players using computer vision and display them on screen for you. That's cheating, plain and simple.
What if I told you that there's a new gaming monitor that uses AI to let you, well, cheat? From pings to potential pseudo wall hacks, MSI's new monitor comes with built-in generative features that provide players with extra information about their opponent's whereabouts.
You might see little red skulls that pop up, like at the top, or down at the bottom, or off to the side.
But the footage shown is a game I played quite a bit, League of Legends. And what the monitor is actually doing is just putting big red skulls on the screens for the directions of enemy players you can already see on the screen. This feature is so obviously trash to anybody that plays League. It's big distracting bubbles that no player would use because you can just see them on the screen. It would be an active detriment and extremely annoying. It's just AI slop to try to sell a monitor with features that are clearly half-baked. He includes this to try to sell the story that people are pushing the lines in terms of what cheating is, and that this means they're using aim hacks or wall hacks in game as well.
First, they used LUTs, also known as lookup tables. They used these to pull out players from darker areas of the map. When those were banned, they claimed, but my monitor can do it. Then they used crosshair overlays. When those were banned, again it was, but my monitor can do it. Now it's wall hacks and permanent radars, and the excuse is still the same, but my monitor can do it. Stop pointing to hardware to justify cheating. Just play the game like everyone else. My point is this: if these people are already using crosshair overlays, what else are they using? They've already demonstrated they have no integrity.
He then wheels out another straw man to beat up, that the people defending Riley claim she just got lucky a few times in a 7-hour stream, but normally they play terribly because they have terrible aim.
They also claim to spend hundreds of hours perfecting their aim. But when exposed for cheating, suddenly they're just normal players that got lucky, and only 5% of their 5-hour stream makes it into a montage as they have terrible aim. So which is it? It can't be both.
This is not the argument. The argument is that the playstyle is generally not a good playstyle for high KD ratios or competitive gameplay, but is centered around getting flashy clips. Riley will intentionally walk into large groups of people and flick around to try to hit all of them before they realize and kill her. There are tons of examples of this sort of thing happening, and you can see the clear intent that she's going for crazy clips. Riley's aim isn't bad, it's just that going for this sort of gameplay will result in you dying a lot, and that a lot of your gameplay will not look like this. It involves a lot of gambling, and it involves a lot of other players just not really being the best. Next, he says that the flicking and snapping around isn't a problem, saying they misflick because they have bad aim and have to rely on crosshair overlays to flick properly.
Let's clear up a common misconception about what we're seeing here. When a player snaps their crosshair, those quick, sharp flicks of the mouse, that's not the problem. Nobody has an issue with fast mouse movements. The defense that snapping proves skill is just gaslighting the community. In fact, in Riley's case, he snaps all over the place and still misses. It shows his natural aim is actually poor. This is why he has to depend on crosshair overlays.
That nobody had a problem with the snaps and flicks, despite him having a problem with the snaps and flicks.
Check this out. This is a snap, no debate. I can't say for sure yet if this is an aimbot or some other third-party software until I finish my data models and start examining this with TrueSight. I mean, what are we even talking about here?
But Riley's misflicks aren't bad aim, they're just evidence of human aim. One of the best aiming fundamentals is called the Bardas method. This is a method for trying to increase your skill in static clicking scenarios, but it also applies to target switching.
I'm Bardos, I have 20 years of experience playing FPS games, and I have a few top Kovac scores. Why are static dots even useful? Why would you waste time trying to improve at static dots? Well, of course, you wouldn't do it just for the static dots themselves, but you would do it because static dots kind of translate to some kind of aiming that you often use in games, which is basically flicks to a stationary point. For example, in a competitive tactical FPS like Counter-Strike or Valorant, you would use that kind of movement to move your crosshair between places. That's what people usually call crosshair placement, but if you're standing still and you hear a step and you need to move your crosshair somewhere else, you would do it with basically a static movement. The idea is to actually make a very fast flick, as fast as you can, with your arm, and then you will land somewhere close to the dot, possibly even on the dot once you get very good. And then, you have to wait for your brain to realize where you landed, or kind of predict where you're gonna land based on the movement, depending on how good you are, and then micro-correct. Micro-correction means that you're basically flicking again, but on a very, very, very small angle, so it's not really a flick, because it would be just a little movement of the hand.
The Bardas method is to have a wide flick to a target and then a small micro-correction, to help control your flick to that point and then get on target with your fine correction. This is how target switching works, and you can see that in Riley's gameplay. But after saying the flicks aren't the problem, he said the real issue is the perfect micro-corrections.
And that's why you still see occasional misses. If he snaps without firing, there's no aimbot at work, so the crosshair can drift off naturally. It's only when he commits to the shot that the software engages, delivering accuracy no human hand can replicate. This is why he doesn't miss a bullet at long range, but misses so many up close. Bottom line, the snapping isn't the cheat.
As I discussed in my first video, after slowing down the clips, you can just see that's flatly not true. Riley's micro-corrections often miss and overshoot the target, but I'm sure he'll slow it down and show these. Oh, okay, we're just moving on.
The on-fire micro-adjustments are. After speaking with multiple cheat developers,
he claims that this aimbot only activates when the trigger is pulled, that the flicks are all real, but then the corrections to the player are aimbot.
This cheat is set to activate on fire. That means the snapping only gets in close. But the instant the trigger is pulled, the software takes over, sliding the crosshair onto the enemy with flawless micro-adjustments, then holding it steady for the shot.
Which is totally possible. This is partly what Shimmy did back when he was cheating. But again, the clips he shows just blatantly contradict this claim. Riley flicks to the right to the player by the down plane and misses all over the place while shooting the entire time. He then puts a small square over Riley's cursor to show a theoretical aimbot FOV, again contradicting his claims about the rock clip, suggesting that she snapped to this player at the rock.
Watch as he snaps to the rock. The moment he starts firing, notice how the gun begins to climb upward, drifting toward an enemy he can't even see yet. Then the enemy finally appears, and watch what happens. He runs directly at them. But the critical part is this. Only when he pulls the trigger does the aimbot kick in. Those micro adjustments suddenly lock his aim perfectly onto the target. It doesn't get any clearer than this.
Claiming she ran directly at him, while she's moving left to clear LOS of the rock, not directly at him, and claims the aimbot only locks on once the gun fires. But again, in the footage, you can see Riley is aiming to the guy before she even starts firing. She tracks him in the direction he's running and only pulls the trigger once she's already on him.
The aimbot only works if the enemy is inside its field of view. Now, because the enemy was outside the FOV, it didn't lock on, even though he is firing his weapon. The moment he pulls the trigger, the enemy is inside the aimbot's field of view, and instantly it locks on.
Except this isn't how soft aim with FOV works. Call of Shame has already declared this is what she's using, except shows footage of Riley snapping over and away from the player closest to her cursor, and suggests she snaps to the player to the right because the box he made slightly overlaps with the player at the very edge.
Watch as Riley snaps to nothing. Look very closely. Did you see the enemy?
He then shows the clip of Riley tracking in the APC, claiming once she pulled the trigger, she doesn't miss a shot.
And watch closely. The moment he lines the aimbot over the enemy and pulls the trigger, suddenly he doesn't miss a single bullet.
Which is just factually not true. As I showed in my video, Riley misses a few times in that clip due to overtracking. As well as showing the clip of Riley running up the hill to shoot a player in the back, claiming the FOV is not on the player so it doesn't track until the 6th shot, which also just does not line up with the footage shown.
In this clip, watch the first 5 bullets. They all miss completely, because the enemy is strafing left and the aimbot's field of view isn't on the target. That forces Riley to miss his shots. On the 6th shot, the target moves into the field of view, and that's when the aimbot's micro-adjustment takes over.
As far as I can tell, it's the 4th or 5th shot that gets the first blood tracer here. So this is when the accusations started to become about the fabled sophisticated soft aim that can replicate human aim and is super hard to detect. First of all, let's look at the actual footage of actual cheats that were available in the Battlefield 6 beta. They are super blatant. But even looking at sophisticated hardware soft aims in games like Call of Duty, you can see how blatant these sorts of cheats still are.
Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the sky. Contact! Enemy soldiers nearby. Hostile dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
At the very end, he undertracked slightly, but only because he took his foot off the DX Racer Hackerman's foot pedal. You can still see him locking onto hitboxes and tracking them, as well as locking onto points despite shots still bouncing mid-chest. If you're going to claim Riley is using this sort of soft aim, then you need examples of other players using similar cheats where the gameplay looks the same. This is a tool we will use for later. And in the final section of this third video, he shows the footage from Riley's follow-up hand cam stream.
This Catgirl person put out a new clip trying to prove he doesn't cheat. But let's be honest, this is just normal gameplay. All I see is someone standing still and spraying with a light machine gun. Everybody does that, it's nothing special. Where are the snaps? Where's the aimbot? It's a desperate attempt to convince people he's doing the same thing. Where are the snaps? Where's the aimbot?
I am truly baffled how this section could make it into a completed project. The reason this footage so blatantly contradicts the words said is because Call of Shame was too lazy to actually go to the Twitch VODs and pull some footage. He just took the footage Riley uploaded to Twitter, which was a highlight reel, and overlaid it onto the script he had generated for him. He's not even intelligently dishonest. You could have just pulled the 10IQ Gaming and went to her VOD and pulled out footage of deaths and bad plays to suggest Riley was just a complete bot on day 1 of the beta, and that they got cheats on day 2. But my theory is he didn't even manually edit this video together. He had an AI do it. With the constant odd cuts and weird shifts, I'm highly suspect that a human actually went through and manually created this. As I've been going through this video, I've had to stitch together a lot of things to transfer from one thing to another, and I can't believe he would watch this back and see this and just be like, no, this is fine, this is good, we can just do this, yeah, no, it's totally fine. No snapping, bro, no snapping whatsoever.
Cheaters have been punished by the men and women from Ricochet. All streamers are guilty until proven innocent.
I'm bringing you the latest breaking news on Riley CS, the rage hacker who went viral on social media for using aimbot. His defenders are still pushing the false claim that anyone can flick like that, but what they fail to understand is that the flicks aren't the issue. It's the aim correction that exposes the aimbot, not the flicks themselves.
We start the fourth video by repeating that the flicks absolutely aren't the problem, and quickly pivot into Riley's game crashing during the beta.
I've done extensive research, and here's what I've uncovered. During the first beta, he was using the name TTV Riley CS. This was the account caught aimbotting, with clips even posted to social media. As you all know, the video caused a massive uproar because it clearly proved he was using cheats. But getting back to the alleged ban, look at what happened when Riley tried to play the beta in the second week after the video went viral. Every time he got into a match, he was kicked out within seconds.
Did my game just fucking crash? My game just crashed. Nice. Guys, what is wrong with Battlefield 6?
He tried to boot it up again and was kicked for the second time.
Close my fucking game.
The cheater now tried to repair the game files as he desperately attempts to log into the account that has been soft banned. He made it into a match, and yet again, the account was flagged and the game crashed.
Dude, the door... My game...
He tries again, and for the fourth time in a row, his account was blocked from playing Battlefield 6. This happened repeatedly, to the point where he had to log out and switch to an alternate account. On that account, he was able to play normally. The cheater was banned by Javelin Anti-Cheat, just not in a way that creates headlines. It's like someone driving a Porsche and then trying to tell someone how the engine works with no clue about engines.
Except this is just the game crashing. If Riley were banned, they wouldn't even be able to log into the game, period. Crashes and low performance were very common during the Battlefield 6 beta, and eventually people realized you could switch to the Steam launcher instead to get less issues. So that's what Riley did, and that's why her name changed. Oftentimes, games will be available on multiple launchers, and some give better performance than others. You'd think Call of Shame would be somewhat aware of this, given he's a Call of Duty player, and you can play Warzone on both Battle.net and Steam, but I guess he's just completely unaware of this sort of thing existing. So he says Riley logged into a different account with no other issues, but this is just the same account. Shandy provided me some footage of him testing this, with Titanfall, and you can see the player name and friends lists are both different. We get another brutal voice mod shift, and he brings up Riley's Valorant logins text file.
So yeah, it does appear that that TTV account seems to have been soft banned for sure. Which brings me to another issue. While attempting to farm impressions by faking a desktop folder titled "Cheats Do Not Show," he made a major mistake. A visible text file on his PC labeled Valorant Logins immediately stood out, and it strongly suggests the presence of stolen credentials. It's highly likely these accounts were taken from a leaked database of usernames and passwords circulating on the dark web.
This is a complete nothing burger. People often have Smurfs or alt accounts they use to play with friends that are lower ranked than them in games like this. And with the 50 million new launchers and profiles, you often have to save these so you don't lose or forget them. He also brings up the config files, suggesting there are macros or other types of cheats in here.
The other text files are what I believe are a bunch of macros for Valorant and Battlefield. It's like someone driving a Porsche and then trying to tell someone how the engine works with no clue about engines.
But Riley plays stretch resolutions in games to get better performance. Some might not know what this is, but it's playing the game with a lower resolution, often stretching the game slightly to increase your FPS. This is a long tradition throughout PC games, especially in Counter-Strike, and is allowed in competitive matches. Some players even choose not to stretch and play with the black bars on each side of their screen, with the idea being along the lines of horse blinders, removing the sides of your vision to make what you're focusing on smaller. To do this, you have to open the config file for your game and edit the resolution, which is why Riley has these config files up and on her computer for easy access. She doesn't want to have to type %appdata% to navigate to the file every single time. This just isn't evidence of cheating. But then he brings up Pingu, another member of the AIM community who defended Riley. He says the video says nothing, which I believe to be untrue. I'll link the video below so you can see and go watch it for yourself, because Pingu's explanation is substantive and correct.
When Riley was caught rage hacking, another member of the AIM community suddenly appeared and desperately tried to defend him. I suspected it was Riley himself, since the voice sounded nearly identical. However, I've since been assured it was someone else who just happens to sound like him. Here's the clip.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall.
Riley CS is not cheating. Obviously, there were a lot of people who were interacting with the discourse in bad faith, but I do think there was a subset of people who are just genuinely unsure. So, as somebody who's been around the AIM community for a couple of years now...
And you get the picture. He's flat out defending Riley. But the real question is why? Why would someone go out of their way to make a throwaway video that explains absolutely nothing? Well, it turns out the person so eager to defend him is none other than Riley's own editor. The same person responsible for editing all of his videos. But get this, Riley's editor isn't just an editor, he's also a cheat developer. That's right, the very person defending him is the one supplying him with cheats.
Pingu being Riley's editor or actually developing cheats in the past is meaningless. What matters is the substance of the arguments, which sadly aren't responded to here. It's just guilt by association and selective credentials. He's quick to invoke Enclave Emily as a reliable source, but when Pingu claims to have better credentials, they're only used as further fuel to the fire. He talks about the list of people with credentials defending Riley, just writing it off because other cheaters are on the list, and given this guy's lack of analysis, I don't trust for a second that those claims are accurate.
Take a good long look. They are desperate, but they have lied about a few of them, including the Battlefield developer who hasn't even mentioned the rage hacker Riley CS at all. I want everyone to really take a good long look at the individuals who are turning a blind eye to the evidence, and many of them have been permanently banned in other games by other anti-cheats. The list also consists of other known cheaters in the scene. But there are darker forces at play. The Riley defenders are losing and they know it. Now they're trying to twist the narrative, painting everyone who calls out Riley's cheating as somehow curiously transphobic.
This guy has been deliberately transphobic since he initially covered the controversy, as well as basically his entire audience. The nerve to try to back up and say, wow, isn't it so interesting that we're all being called transphobic for no reason, is actually crazy. It's very easy to concede a large part of the controversy has been transphobia. It colors almost all of the negative commentary suggesting Riley is cheating, but he's too much of a coward to just stand on business and own it. We're almost done. We're on to the 5th video. He again brings up Shimmy and talks about the controversy, saying that Shimmy was banned for using aim hacks and Kovacs, which is just flatly not true.
But for now, I want to go back to Shimmy. Team EXE, or XE, whatever you want to call them, I don't really care. They had to make a public statement and admit he was using soft aim. And because the situation was so public, they really had no other option. Here's some gameplay where Shimmy was caught using soft aim. As I mentioned earlier, soft aim works when a cheater initially misses the target, then the automated aim correction gradually pulls the crosshair toward the enemy. It can fool the human eye, but not AI. And this is when my cheat analysis comes in. Instantly, he's detected for soft aim. So, this is what my software detected: a micro adjustment to the center of the player's bounding box. This is simply not natural, especially since it had already flagged similar pattern matches before this. Players miss targets all the time. The issue isn't the flick, it's the micro adjustments that follow. This is Shimmy's own gameplay recorded on Aim Trainer. Looks pretty solid, right? Well, now we know he was actually using an aimbot. So anyone claiming that great aim from Aim Trainer alone proves legitimacy can throw that argument out the window. I've just proven it false.
Shimmy was banned for using an aim key in games like Battlefield and COD, and was cheating in Kovacs by slowing down the time in the game engine, not by using an aim hack. This is widely known information. Viscos made a video going over the situation, and she was the one that exposed him for cheating in this way. Call of Shame claims to have done extensive research on Shimmy, but seemingly not enough to get the basic factual information right. And Call of Shame clearly doesn't know what Kovacs is, typing Aim Trainer into the AI, which resulted in a mistake that makes it a little bit too obvious.
This is Shimmy's own gameplay recorded on Aim Trainer. Looks pretty solid, right? Well, now we know he was actually using an aimbot. So anyone claiming that great aim from Aim Trainer alone proves legitimacy can throw that argument out the window. I've just proven it false.
The same thing happens in the next segment when he pivots from, now I know why he did it, and then not answering that and instead saying not to let a cheater dictate the story.
When Carl Jost put out a video attempting to defend Riley CS, I was honestly confused because he has some actually pretty amazing videos, and then I quickly realized why he did it. If you're going to make an impartial video, you should never let a blatant cheater dictate how you tell your story.
Maybe do a redraft, my friend. And what was the dictation on the story? Providing the uncompressed clip of them shooting through the smoke? and showing that you could even see the player shot in the clip.
When I view this clip on Twitter, I can't see an enemy here, but the Twitter version is terrible quality, entirely compressed. Luckily, Riley still has the original video in high quality and sent it to me. And when I view the original, the enemy is clearly visible. And when you see the enemy, you realize the flick wasn't even accurate, and it took multiple shots before Riley adjusted. So when viewing the actual footage, you see that not only can you see the enemy clearly, but the snap was completely off target.
And then we get the same shtick about his very real anti-cheat and white paper.
An entire PhD-level white paper on computer vision-based cheats, and the urgent need for anti-cheats to step up against AI-driven exploits. In it, I go in depth on soft aim technology and the broader dangers that modern AI poses to competitive online games. Over the past 6 months, I've been investigating, researching, and reverse engineering external cheat devices to determine the most effective ways to combat them in first-person shooters. The result is a groundbreaking anti-cheat system.
It is actually wild how repetitive his content is. I do wonder how many of his 180,000 subscribers are actually real humans. Remember that tool we hid for later? Well, we circle back around to Shimmy, saying how well his aimbot hides itself. Again, Shimmy was kicked from EXE a month after joining, and it didn't take long for people to realize he was using an aim key.
The gameplay is identical. The same snap behavior is there, but let's be clear, the snap itself is not the cheat. The soft aimbot is the mechanical auto-correction that takes over as the crosshair nears the target. The so-called pro players and Riley defenders from that strange little list they created just don't recognize what soft aim really looks like, so they gaslight the clips by overanalyzing and debunking the snaps.
He then shows Riley's gameplay side by side with Shimmy's gameplay, saying they are the exact same thing, and that Guardian True Sight is showing both of them cheating. Except the footage he includes for this first part is the footage of the clip he himself said was not cheated, but was just inserted to give plausible deniability.
And no, that's not cheating. Cheaters often include clips like this in their montages so that absolute morons can try to break it down and say, "See, he's not cheating."
And then of course, we're just running down our list of collected evidence that's all just fake.
The gameplay is a dead match. It's exactly the same. This is a closed case. There's nothing more to be said. I brought facts to the table, and what did they bring? Permanently banned streamers and washed content creators. When presenting evidence of cheating, I need it to be 100% accurate. Look, the evidence out there to show Riley cheating is excellent. The micro adjustments and aim corrections, just ignored. The previous bans on platforms for cheating in multiplayer games, ignored. Valorant logins and suspicious macro config files, ignored. Crosshair overlays, you guessed it, ignored. A member of Team XC. The little aiming club surrounded in controversy that will use propaganda to gaslight members caught cheating, ignored. On the second week of the beta, he failed to play on his original account due to a potential soft ban, yet was able to load another account, already leveled up, and play perfectly fine, ignored. Banned from multiple Battlefield forums because they know he's cheating, ignored. The only people defending this guy are radical groups and mouse and keyboard players, as they somehow believe it's an attack on their gameplay. Cheat developers insist this person is cheating, and their so-called defense? They copied his tweet and gaslighted it, and simply ignored it. They even pretended to be Battlefield 6 developers to virtue signal for the Catgirl dude. I ran it through my AI anti-cheat software and it found him guilty. And their defense? He didn't cheat because he said so. And everyone saying he is cheating are transphobic, hating Nazis with a KD of 0.3. That's the mentality of these people.
I mean, the first and the last part is probably true.
That is their defense, and it's diabolical. I find Riley CS guilty. Game over.
We're finally to the last video. I've listened to tens of hours of the same rock track over and over again, and I'm starting to believe the dead internet theory is closer than we think.
Calling me famous. No way! I just lost a nutty clip to Bloom.
We start off by showing this interesting screenshot of a Twitch ban appeal message.
They said he appealed, and that Twitch reviewed his gameplay and lifted the ban, but that's nonsense. His appeal was denied, both times. and in both cases, Riley had to serve the entire length of his ban for cheating in multiplayer games.
But I don't trust this for a second. I can't find that Riley has posted this anywhere on any social media, and she is the only one who could have access to this message. But the alignment of the text is off, as well as the account being listed as RileyC_ and not RileyCS_. And of course, this screenshot instantly got shipped around to all the other channels covering this, and it's probably not even a real screenshot. We do love a little bit of deception. He goes back to the list of supposed dastardly cheaters, and brings up XQC as someone who doesn't have credentials.
XQC is once again another terrible source. Just because he's a big streamer doesn't automatically make him credible. In fact, the very idea that a large following equals credibility only reinforces my earlier point.
Seemingly not aware that XQC was a former pro Overwatch player, and definitely has some credentials for spotting cheats.
This is the same guy who publicly defended Nadia, going so far as to break down my video live on his channel and dismiss it as a witch hunt simply because she's a woman. He insisted there was no evidence of her cheating, yet she was permanently banned later that same year.
Alright, I'm gonna be willing to say it, chat. I'm gonna be willing to say it. All the shit we're talking about, all this garbage, it's all actual dog shit. All the chat, I don't care saying like it, chat. All the cheating stuff was unfounded. All this is garbage. It's all stupidity. I'm sorry. I wish I could. Guys, there's so many things to criticize her for. Not this.
Bro, I just got banned.
Also bringing up Nadia, claiming she was permanently banned from Call of Duty, which is just not true. I had heard this claim floated around a lot of his videos. Nadia is streaming Call of Duty to this day. She had been banned from Call of Duty events after being an IRL streamer and starting an OnlyFans, but was not permanently banned from Call of Duty. Call of Duty can ban you for crazy things. False Call of Duty bans happen frequently and usually get resolved rather quickly.
Guys, this man by the name of Ziebler finally went ahead and exposed exactly how people were getting falsely permanent banned in Call of Duty. This is his tweet. He says, "The following is a quote and paste from Visor, the founder of the exploit, detailing the exploit he found and its abuse. These are not my words. Please contact him, blah, blah, blah." Essentially, he gets into this whole thing about how a lot of anti-cheats work on the same way, where it's kind of like code-based in a way, where they call it signatures, but essentially if there's certain code that is found embedded in your PC or into your account, it is a surefire way that Activision and Ricochet can go ahead and actually identify your account and issue you a permanent ban.
Call of Shame uses Nadia to attack other creators constantly to completely discredit any credentials they otherwise have.
This is the same guy who publicly defended Nadia, going so far as to break down my video live on his channel.
He also brings up Marksman, another pretty cool creator, suggesting the only reason he defended Riley is because of the trans flag he had as his Call of Duty emblem.
Then you've got names like Marksman, hyped up as a search and destroy demon. A demon? We all know why he defended Riley, so let's not pretend.
This is actually quite common. You can scroll through the comments of my last video and see just how many people auto-assumed I was trans simply for taking the side. You can have left politics and defend someone for reasons completely outside of that. He also claims to have more previous jobs, and I guess he created his own gaming platform. Man, Scump really is on the ups nowadays, huh?
I worked on the MSN Gaming Zone, where I monitored cheating across a variety of titles. I even went as far as building my own gaming platform, yes, my own platform, directly competing with GameSpy and others at the time. Later, I collaborated with Microsoft to track down cheaters in Age of Empires, which, by the way, I still play to this day.
Damn, he also worked with Microsoft? Which Fortune 500 company hasn't this guy worked for?
I know this field, I've lived it. When it comes to cheating, I am a credible authority. I've spent decades on the front lines of cybersecurity and anti-cheat technology.
Decades? You worked decades in this field?
I was there during the IRC wars, when groups clashed for dominance.
And you were part of the IRC wars in the 90s? My man is the productivity GOAT, my lord!
I watched the birth of botnets, the rise of reverse connections, and the inevitable collapses that followed. I lived it. They didn't.
Guys, I think the US is under attack. Rip Australia, though. I guess no one wants to hack them. But this is just generated, dude! There's a random explosion and curved lines in the ending frames. It's so pathetic! This is just not real! 60% of this video was just recycled content from the last one.
I've even written my own anti-cheat. And no, I didn't need kernel-level access. I used AI-driven bots to infiltrate cheat sites, analyze loaders, extract cheat signatures, and break them down into raw data.
Get cheat signatures and break them down into raw data. This is like Disney Plus science fiction speak.
In my expert opinion, this person was cheating. And you can take that to the bank. I'm Call of Shame. God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen.
And we're finally done. We've covered all the videos he has on Riley. So I'll quickly wrap up over my mediocre Splitgate gameplay. I think it's pretty clear Call of Shame is just a certified turbo liar. It is incredible how often and easily he will lie to try to farm credentials and frame innocent players as cheaters. Reactions to cheating are very visceral. Players really do not like cheaters. Call of Shame has successfully deceived a lot of well-meaning people by lying to them to farm YouTube ad money. Despite all the suspected uses of AI, I do still think there's a human behind this. A very sad human, but a human nonetheless. He'll react to people in his comments frequently, sometimes giving off bot-like replies, but other times, predicting the rapture?
I pray that Jesus comes back really, really soon to lay judgment upon all these wicked people. I'm included, then so be it.
September 23rd, 2025. YouTube it. It's close, my friend.
Damn, boys, September 23rd. Guess we have 23 more days until we all fucking die. Mixed with all the really weird segments he includes that involve violence or shame, I think it's clear whoever this individual is odd.
Can you imagine telling your girlfriend you're part of the aiming community? What do you think she's going to do? Call the cops? Of course she will, and rightly so. Take this guy, for example. It's rumored that he told his friend he was part of the aiming community and that he uses a floating crosshair on his screen.
I'm part of the aiming community. We basically use crosshairs on our screen.
His friend reacted the way most people would, and rightly so. Don't you dare sit there with your ass hair on your head. Are you part of the aiming community? Didn't think so. And if you are, do your parents know?
I don't think anyone should listen to him as a reasonable source, and I hope more work is done to show people just how rancid this channel is. This was a much larger project than before, and was rather time-consuming. I'm thankful to anybody that stayed around and listened to me yap for this long. I do plan on making more edited content in the future, so feel free to do the thing and help support me. My next video will likely be a comprehensive guide on choosing new peripherals for beginners, so wish me luck, and always remember, Ricochet go away.
The Sims start gifting me subs tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Yo, Nick, thank you for the fire. Jay with 4 and Lee the 3. I can't seem to get a single nuke. I swear they were real and not a fluke. If I was cheating, why do I still play? Don't listen to shame, just gift and stay. Ricochet, ricochet, go away. Ricochet.
No! That was...
That suck?
Yes!
What? Wait, I got... Alright.
One thing I don't like is this gun's reload animation. It has very slow ending lag, so like, you don't actually know when you're like able to portal again super easily. I was completely out of primary there, dude. Fuck.
Oh my god, the last one.
No! Yes!
Oh my god, that fucking gun, Jesus Christ. Alright, GG.
If I can choke, I can never seem to hit these angles. Yes!
Dude!
Lots of clips.
Nice.
Oh my god, I'm crazy, emo.
Reloading that ball. One shot in the green. Yes! Fuck! I like killed 4 people on the zone and nobody wants it. Fuck. Ready, gas, we have positions ready for Let's go.
Hard one first win. Fucking way.
Oh my god.
Oh my